Oh, Lord have mercy. What up, YouTube? How y'all doing? I see I lost a couple subscribers. I got to get more consistent. So I'm back on our book readings. I haven't done it in a while. I guess a lot of people didn't like it, but I love to read and I love books. So we going back to our 48 Laws of Power. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Love the title. Love the title. The core strategy of this is to make your targets feel smarter and more superior than you, which disarms their suspicion and blinds them to your true intentions. And that is a fact. Exploit human vanity. Nobody likes feeling stupid. When people believe they are sharpest person in the room, their guard drops completely. That's a fact. Hide your true capacity. You do not need to advertise your full intelligence or competence. Appearing slightly naive or less informed than you actually are creates a powerful smokescreen. When a rival or target underestimates you, they reveal their own strategies, drop their defenses, and make critical mistakes. That's a fact. Suppress your ego. It can be hard to swallow your pride or act less capable, but controlling your ego allows you to manipulate the dynamic quietly. Allow others to over explain things to you or think they are outsmarting you in negotiations. Lord have mercy. While you silently gather the data and control the outcome. Green notes that you should only appear authoritative or brilliant if you specifically need to project expert trust to a situation or to accomplish a goal. Otherwise, playing ordinary or slightly dull is safer. So that's the context of this. Now I'm going to put on a little jazz. How y'all doing? Law of Power, Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than you mark. Seem dumber than your mark or seem dumber than your target. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person. The trick then is to make your victims feel smart and not just smart, but smarter than you are. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior motives. Now the damn dog. This is unreal. Hey, Tense Law. This is just unreal. In the winter of 18 said we doing laws of power. Law 21. In the winter of 1872, the U.S. financier Ashbury Harpending was visiting London when he received a cable. A diamond mine had been discovered in the American West. The cable came from a reliable source, William Ralston, owner of the Bank of California. But Harpending nevertheless took it as a joke, probably inspired by a recent discovery of huge diamond mines in South Africa. True, when reports had first come of the gold being discovered in the western United States, everyone had been skeptical and those turned out to be true. But a diamond mine in the West, hard spending allowed the cable to show the cable to his fellow financier, Baron Rothschild, the Illuminati in everything. You hear me? The Illuminati in everything. However, don't be too sure about that. America's very large country, it was furnished the world with many surprises already. Perhaps it has others in store. Hard spending promptly took the first ship back to the United States. When Harspini reached San Francisco, there was excitement in the air. That's not what we talking about. We doing 48 Laws of Power, Law 21. Y'all coming here on that bullshit all the time. When Harspini reached San Francisco, there was excitement in the air, recalling the gold rush days of the late 1840s. Two crusty prospectors named Philip Arnold and John Sleek had been the ones to find the diamond mine. They had not divulged its location in Wyoming, but had led a highly respected mining expert to it several weeks back, taking a circular route so he could not guess his whereabouts. Once there, the expert had watched as the miners dug up diamonds. Back in San Francisco, the expert had taken the gems to various jewelers, one of whom had estimated they worth at 1.5 million. This is in 1872. That's a lot of money. Now, damn. So they actually found diamonds here. I never knew that. Harspindi and Rossman now asked Arnold and Slack to accompany them back to New York, where the jeweler Charles Tiffany would verify the original estimates. The prospectors responded uneasily. They smelled a trap. How could they trust these city slickers? What if Tiffany and the financiers managed to steal the whole mine out from under them? Rawson tried to allay their fears by giving 100,000 and placing another 300,000 in escrow. That's a lot of money in 1872. Wow. If the deal went through, they would be paid an additional 300,000. The miners agreed. They traveled to New York, where a meeting was held at the mansion of Samuel Barlow. The cream of the city aristocracy was in attendance. General George McClellan, commander of the Union forces in the Civil War, General Benjamin Butler, Horace Greeley, editor of the newspaper of the New York Tribune, Harspending, Ralston, and Tiffany. Only Slack and Arnold were missing. As tourists in the city, they had decided to go sightseeing. When Tiffany announced that the gems were real and worth a fortune, the financiers could barely control their excitement. They wired Rothschild and other tycoons to tell them about the diamond mine, inviting them to share in the investment. At the same time, they also told the prospectors that they wanted one more test. They insisted that the mining expert of their choosing accompany Slack and Arnold to the site to verify its wealth. The prospectors agreed. In the meantime, they said they had to return to San Francisco. The jewels that Tiffany had examined, they left with Harspending for safekeeping. Several weeks later, a man named Louis Janelin, the best mining expert in the country, met the prospectors in San Francisco. Janelin was born skeptic who was determined to make sure the mine was not a fraud. Accompanying Janine were Harspending and several other interested financiers. As with the previous expert, the prospectors led the team through a complex series of canyons, completely confusing them as to where the mine was. Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Appreciate you. I forgot where I was at. Oh, let me see. Arriving at the site, the financiers watched in amazement as Janine dug the area up, leveling anthills, turning over boulders, and finding emeralds, rubies, sapphires, and most of all, diamonds. I never knew we had diamonds here, so this is really messing me up. He told the investors that they now possess the richest field in mining history. With 100 men and proper machinery, I would guarantee to send out $1 million in diamonds every 30 days. This is in 1872. Wow. Returning to San Francisco a few days later, Ralston Hardspending and Company acted fast to form a 10 million corporation of private investors. First, however, they had to get rid of Arnold and Slack. That means hiding their excitement. They certainly did not want to reveal the field's real value, so they played possum. Who knows if Janine is right, they told the prospectors. The mine may not be as rich as we think. This just made the prospectors angry. Trying a different tactic, the financiers told the two men that if they insisted on having shares on the mine, they would end up being fleeced by an unscrupulous tycoon and investors who run the corporation better. They said to take 700,000 already offered as an enormous sum at the time and put their greed aside. This the prospectors seemed to understand, and they finally agreed to take the money. In return, signing the rights to the site over to the financiers and leaving maps to it. Oh, so they done swindled them out of all that money. They paid them 700,000 to get them gone, while this mile is worth multi-million dollars. Wow, okay. News of the mine spread like wildfire. Prospector fanned out across Wyoming. Meanwhile, Hard Spending and Group began spending the millions they had collected from the investors, buying equipment, hiring the best men in the business, furnish, furnishing luxurious office in New York and San Francisco. A few weeks later, on their trip back to the site, they learned the hard truth. Not a single diamond or ruby was found. Wow. Wow. So they thought they were swindling. The swindlers paid them all that money, took their money, bought all this, and wasn't nothing there. Damn. Because I ain't never thought we had diamonds. That's why I was so messed up on reading this. It was all fake. They were ruined. Harspinny had unwittingly lured the richest men in the world into the biggest scam of the century. Arnold and Slack pulled off their stupendous con not by using a fake engineer or bribing Tiffany. All of the experts have been real. All of them honestly believed in the existence of the mine and in the value of the gems. What had fooled them all was nothing else than Arnold and Slack themselves. The two men seemed to be such rude, such hasty, so naive that no one for an instant believed them capable of such a scam. The prospectors had simply observed the law of appearing more stupid than the mark, the deceivers of the first commandment. The logistics of the con were quite simple. Months before Arnold and Slack announced the discovery of the diamond mine, they traveled to Europe where they purchased some real gems for 12,000. They then salted the mine with these gems, which the first expert dug up, including Tiffany herself, and got caught up in a lever had grossly. Wow! So they went. They bought the diamonds in Europe and planted them around the mine so they could be found. Damn, that was a great scam. Damn. The second time they sought the mine, there were many more jewels to be found. The effectiveness of the scam, however, rested not only on tricks like these, but on the fact that Arnold and Slack played their parts of perfection. On their trip to New York, where they mingled with millionaires and tycoons, they played up their Clodhopper image, wearing pants and coats a size or two too small, acting incredulous at everything they saw in the big city. No one believed that these two simpletons could possibly be conning the most devious, unscrupulous finances of the time. And what's Harsman Ross and even Rothschild accepted the mine's existence. Anyone who doubted it was questioning the intelligence of the world's most successful businessmen. Wow. In the end, Harspin's reputation was ruined, and he never recovered. Rothschild learned his lesson and never fell for another con. Slack took his money and disappeared from view, never to be found. Arnold simply went home to Kentucky. After all, his sale of his mining rights had been legitimate. The buyers had taken the best advice, and if the mine had run out of diamonds, that was their problem. Arnold used the money to greatly enlarge his farm and open up a bank of his own. Damn, that was a great scam. Mm, mm, mm. The feeling that someone else is more intelligent than we are is almost intolerable. We usually try to justify it in different ways. He only has a book knowledge, whereas I have real knowledge. People say that shit to me all the time. Facts. Her parents paid for her to have a good education. If my parents had so much money, I would have been privileged too. People do say that, don't they? They say that. He's not as smart as he thinks. Last but not least, she may know her narrow little field better than I do, but beyond that, she's really not smart at all. People be jealous of your smartness, of your intelligence. Yes, they do. Even Einstein was a boob outside of physics. Given how important the ideal of intelligence is to most people's vanity, it is critical never to insult or impugn a person's brain power. That is an unforgivable sin. But if you can make the iron rule work for you, it opens up all sorts of avenues of deception. Subliminally reassure people that they are more intelligent than you are, or even that you are a bit of a moron, and you can run rings around them. The feeling of intellectual superiority you give them will disarm their suspicious nature. Wow, this is so good. Appearing less intelligent than you are, even a bit of a fool, is perfect disguise. Look like a harmless pig, and no one will believe you harbor dangerous ambitions. They may even promote you since you seem so likable and subservient. By playing the fool as young men, they were left alone when the time came for them to strike and to act with vigor and decisiveness. They caught everyone off guard. Hey, intelligence is obvious quality to downplay, but why stop there? Taste and sophistication rank close to intelligence on the vanity scale. Make people feel they are more sophisticated than you are, and their guard will come down. As Arnold and Slack knew, an air of complete naivety can work wonders. These famous financiers were laughing at them behind their backs, but who laughed last in the end? Because they took all their money. To reveal the true nature of your intelligence rarely pays. You should get in the habit of downplaying at all times. And I used to do that. And I still do. If people learn the truth that you are actually more smarter than you look, they will admire you more for being discreet than for you making your brilliance show. At the start of your climb to the top, of course, you cannot play too stupid. You may want to let your bosses know in a subtle way that you are smarter than the competition around you. That's a fact. As you climb the ladder, however, you should, to some degree, try to dampen your brilliance. There's, however, one situation where it pays to do the opposite, when you can cover up a deception with the show of intelligence. It matters, and matters as smart as in most things, appearance is what counts. If you seem to have authority and knowledge, people will believe what you say. This can be more useful to getting you out of scrap. Okay, we almost done. Let me see. The art dealer Joseph Duvall was once attending a soiree at a New York home of a tycoon. Among the guests was a young French art critic who seemed extremely knowledgeable and confident. Wanting to impress the man, the tycoon's daughter showed him the Dürer, which had not yet been hung. The critic studied it for some time and simply said, "You know, I don't think the Dürer is right." He followed the young woman as she heard to tell her father what he had said and listened to the magnate, deeply unsettled, turn to Devar for reassurance. He he laughed. "How very amusing. Do you realize, young man, that at least 20 other art experts here and in Europe have taken into and have said that the painting isn't genuine, and now you made the same mistake." His confident tone and air of authority intimidated the Frenchman, who apologized for his mistake. Devine knew that the art market was flooded with fakes and that many paintings had been falsely ascribed to the old masters. He tried his best to distinguish the real from the fake, but in his zeal to sell, he often overplayed a work's authentic, um, of it being authentic. What mattered to him was that the buyer believed he had bought a Dürer and that Devon himself convinced everyone of his expertise through his air of authority. Thus, it is important to be able to play the professor when necessary and never impose such an attitude for its own sake. All right, that's Law 21. That was good as hell. That was good in here. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.